Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Jenny Lee Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. I hope you're well. I've just about got my voice back. Still slightly croaky. I had the most fantastic weekend. I got to meet a few of you there. Lovely to say hi to a few podcast listeners at the Wellness Way Festival. It really was a beautiful event in the woods, in the woodland, just a gorgeous setting and totally inspirational. It was really fantastic. Wonderful to see Liam Brown of Full Power Cacao. I was actually so desperate for a coffee. I'd been there a few hours. I'm thinking, oh, I'd love a coffee. And then I thought, no, do you know what? I'll have a cacao instead. And it totally hit the spot. So it's always good when you get to meet former podcast guests. But when they come, bearing chocolate, even better. So that was great. Lots of fantastic talks. Wonderful to hear Barbara O'Neill. If you've never heard her speak, I mean, she's just a powerhouse. It's interesting because I'd forgotten actually that I quoted Barbara O'Neill in my very first book, which was, well, not far off 20 years ago. So that's how long I've been aware of her work. But of course, in more recent years, she's exploded, really, hasn't she? And she talks just so much sense. I mean, so much sense around living holistically, choosing the right food, the right amount of fresh air and exercise and avoiding chemicals and just all of the things that have always been, so important to me. And of course, she's sober, very much so. So it really felt like a beautiful event in that sense. It really did. I had kombucha with my meals. It was just great. And of course, I did my talk on choosing sobriety, on holistic sobriety, I should say. And it was just a really fantastic event. And I thought in the light of that, I wanted to share something with you this week around nutrition. And it really feels as though at the moment, people swing from the idea of kind of, eating healthily, eating well, to taking, fat jabs, as the media calls them. And it really worries me, all of this. I've got to tell you, it really worries me. I did write a Substack post about what I feel concerned about, when it comes to weight loss jabs. And by the way, I'm not trying to be simplistic here. I do totally get that, this is an in-depth conversation. It's not as simple as don't do it. The conversation has a bit more depth. But I thought it might be a good place to start would be, while I know a lot of people are thinking about this, some of the coaches that I've trained, some of the sober coaches have had the issue come up with clients, understandably, because, we're in a quick fix culture, aren't we? We want a quick fix if it feels possible, just to, often our thinking is, oh, I'll quit alcohol, therefore I'll, lose a stone in a couple of weeks. Or, we think to ourselves, well, everything will just be so much better when I've shed the weight. So I'll just go on the fat jabs for a bit and then that will sort it, Unfortunately, life is rarely like that. There are consequences to everything. And some of the contraindications of the weight loss jabs definitely concern me. But I think even more than that, it's the mindset part of it that I think really, really plays a part. And I know you've heard me talk about this an awful lot of times, but I feel it can be said again. So to that end, I thought it would be a good idea to play to give you another chance to hear the interview I did quite a while back now with Caroline Tyrwhitt, who is the author of The Mindset Diet. I mean, fantastic name, and it is what it says on the tin. She's had her own journey. She really talks about where mindset fits into the whole idea of weight management. And specifically, we're talking about avoiding yo-yo diets. And I mean, that's where it can go, so horribly wrong. One thing that I know is repeated a lot during this podcast is the fact that if you are early days of quitting alcohol, if you're just starting out on this journey, please don't stop eating. Please. I know it can be kind of tempting because you think to yourself, well, I may as well drop a few pounds while I'm quitting alcohol, but it really doesn't work that way. This is the time when you need really good nutrients. You don't want to feel deprived. So that doesn't mean rubbish food or a load of processed food. And the sugar argument is slightly separate. But it does mean you need really good proteins, really good fats. You need to eat regularly. Super important to keep that blood sugar up and just give your sort of just everything a chance to reset and recalibrate when you're taking out the alcohol. Super important to be conscious of what you're putting back. So if this is something that really concerns you or something that you're thinking about, do join us in the Sober Club, because we have so much content around nutrition, gut health, food addiction. It's all there. So please do check out the Sober Club. In addition, of course, you get to be part of an amazing community where you can ask whatever questions you like, and you'll get very supportive answers in a totally non-judgmental way. So I really hope you'll enjoy this interview. For some of you might be hearing it for the second time, but it's always good, isn't it? Because we're kind of in a different place when we hear this stuff. Just before we do that, if you are interested in nutrition and holistic living and sobriety and leveling everything up, then you might really enjoy our free webinar, Exploring a Career as a Sober Coach. You don't necessarily have to be a long way down the line to do this training. It is for people who do know how it feels to have been drinking more than they want to. But you don't have to be a year sober before you do the training. Lots of stuff is explained in our webinar. It is free. You do have to register, though. It's Thursday, 21st of August. So I really hope you'll consider signing up for that. Just go to thesoberclub.com, click on events, and register for the free webinar, Explore a Career as a Sober Coach. It's non-salesy. I am not going to try and sell you anything, I promise you. I genuinely believe the right people show up. If you kind of have that calling, like, I really want to do something else, I want to get a skill set for life, I want to know about promotion and running my own business and have that absolute transformative experience of everything to do with holistic living and supporting others to live their best life without the booze, then just come and check it out. That's Thursday, 21st of August at 7:30 p.m. So you'll find the link in the thesoberclub.com/events. You will also find the link there to our Sober Club's 6th birthday Wellbeing Bash. That's on Monday, the 8th of September. It's at Club Soda. You do have to get a ticket. It's going to be great. It's going to be such a wonderful time to just connect with like-minded people. You're very welcome to come on your own. You don't need to feel fearful at all. It's a very intimate venue, and we will make sure you feel welcomed, and it will be lovely to see you. You're going to have a fabulous goodie bag. We've got some special guests. You'll get all your questions answered if you have any at all. There's going to be some coaches there. We're going to be talking about EFT, which is something I haven't covered an awful lot, but we're going to have an EFT tapping expert there. We're going to be talking nutrition, of course, and a few of our coaches will pop up as well, including Tony Wardsdell, who is one of the coaches I trained, runs Sober 60, and Tony's starting a new project called Sober Guys Talking in association with the Sober Club. And they're going to have a webinar on Thursday, the 11th of September, so a few days after our event on the 8th. So if that's of interest, again, go to thesoberclub.com, click on events. You'll see all three of those events there. The what does it mean to be a sober coach webinar, which is Thursday, the 21st of August, the Monday, the 8th of September for the Sober Club Bash at Club Soda, and then Thursday, the 11th of September for the webinar on for the guys, for Sober Guys Talking. Would you like to become an accredited sober coach? Have you quit drinking and found yourself looking for a new purpose? Thousands of people are searching for help to quit and live their best life without the booze. Our Sober Coach training gives you the tools, the confidence, and the community to support others. No experience needed, except knowing what it feels like to have drunk more than you wanted to. We start with 2 transformational in-person days. Then you join our coaches family with ongoing support and webinars to help you use your skills in ways that suit you. If you're already a coach or a therapist, this could be an in-demand extra string to your bow, or a whole new career opportunity as a Sober Club accredited coach. For more info, visit thesoberclub.com and click on the Become a Sober Coach menu item. My guest is Caroline Tyrwhitt of Free to Be NLP. Really, really interested to chat to Caroline because she says she is a recovering yo-yo dieter. So that's going to be interesting. Well, let's get into it. Welcome, Caroline. It's lovely to chat to you.
Thank you.
So I know that you have used NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, yes, and lots of other mindset tools. And we'll share more about the stuff that you do, the mindset diet, which is a fantastic title for a book. I absolutely love it. Escape the trap of yo-yo dieter and go from disillusioned dieter to empowered eater. Yeah, I love it. Definitely. Before we get into any of that, then let's just go back a bit. Tell us a little bit about your kind of, history and what went down for you.
So I've yo-yo dieted all my life and didn't think anything of it really. That was just my normal.
Just explain what that is then. I guess it's just to share what that term means to most people.
So it's cycling around a diet. So you go on a diet, then you finish your diet, go back to normal, and then you go on a diet again and back to normal. So I learned it from my mum when I was very young. That's what she did. And I actually thought that was normal behavior, that there wasn't any other focus that you could do. So I worked in the city. We would eat out a lot. We would go out drinking a lot. And that was my 20s. And I would then spend 10 days on some crazy diet, lose the weight I'd put on, and then go back to my habits. Mm. And that was absolutely fine until I hit my 40s probably. And I ended up in a senior management role in education. And I no longer had the energy to go on a diet because it meant deprivation and feeling hungry all the time. Yeah. And spending hours planning what you were eating. And I just couldn't manage to do it. So everything became tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it when I'm on holiday. And then when I'm on holiday, I want to have a good time and not focus on this diet. So I ended up going from a size 8 when I started teaching to a size 18. And at that point, I decided enough was enough. I went on a diet. I made myself go on a diet, lost the weight, and then put it on again. Mm. So it was only when I was then, just for no connected reason, I started learning NLP because I thought it would help in education. And when you are learning, you practice techniques and you practice it on yourself. And I discovered that actually I could change my thinking. And then that started changing the way I thought about food and this going on a diet. And I found just small techniques actually made huge differences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without dieting.
I mean, it's a thing, isn't it? That, I remember back, I remember my mum going on fad diets, the cabbage soup diet,
absolutely.
Oh God. And
I'm sure I've been on diet.
Yeah, I'm sure I've been on plenty of them myself. Yeah, all these ridiculous. And the reality is that diets don't work. I mean, they don't, do they? It's the really annoying, confusing thing is that, of course, the word diet can also mean how we eat every day. Yep. So it's very confusing, isn't it? When we say, what's your diet, we mean, what meals do you eat? We don't mean what diet are you on. It's so annoying that I hate the fact that those terms are used in the same way. It's very frustrating. Yes. But in terms of dieting, what is wrong with it then? Let's just lay it out there. Why doesn't it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's quite interesting once you start researching. So the numbers to me tell a lot of stories. So I found research that says that women do 126 diets. Wow. On average. That's 2 a year. That's ridiculous, isn't it? That we lose our body weight 9 times over. That's
Wow.
just insane. The industry itself is predicted to be worth $300 billion.
Well, so there's an incentive for them to keep us, to keep it not
Exactly.
working, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that shows that it's not working. If you speak to some diet consultants, they will tell you that they have large numbers of returners.
Yeah.
Sometimes they return as many as 20 times. So it's clearly not working. And there's the research shows that the body can put weight on because that's how our mechanism works to prevent us from starvation. The body's purpose is to keep us safe. And so it's not meant to lose weight. And so when we diet and deprive ourselves, we trigger our body to say, oh, here it comes, starvation, store it up, slow the metabolism down. And so therefore we slow our metabolism. And of course, no one talks about as we age, our metabolism slows slightly. We need to eat slightly less. And they think we overeat by about 1 to 2 pounds a year. So in a year, you wouldn't notice that, would you? But then add that up over 10 years. So even if your average person is doing that, most of us are overeating and will expect to gain weight over time because we're not actually allowing for the fact that we're getting older and needing slightly less.
Yeah. But then I suppose that then leads us into that whole conversation about, well, what is overweight then? Because I don't buy the kind of the Instagram, style image that I'm allegedly meant to look like. As we know, it's very damaging, isn't it? And rather like the charts they used to have for babies. I remember because I was a bit older when I had my kids, I didn't buy into any of that crap. So I never took my baby to be weighed ever. I could see my baby was completely healthy. And the last thing I was going to do was take it to be weighed because I'd seen, friends who go, oh, apparently he's a little bit over. What? Excuse me? What? So you're going to not breastfeed tonight then? Because he's a little bit over. How utterly ridiculous. What scale are you talking about? What chart can possibly determine whether a perfectly healthy baby is allegedly overweight? It's just bonkers. But anyway,
absolutely.
So like how do we define, how do we determine? I mean, surely it really is only about what's healthy for us individually, isn't it?
Yeah. So in terms of if you go to a weight loss club, or even if you think of, I must lose weight, the word must is a problem because that's coming from outside as well, isn't it? Not about from within. It's always about how much weight should I lose? Because actually, if you step back a little bit from that, because that won't work as a goal. One, the brain doesn't want to lose anything. And two, if you say I must lose 10 pounds, hence why we get to 10 pounds, goal achieved, we stop. Whereas actually, if we step back a little bit further and say, what's the whole purpose of this for us? What's this all about? And then we start thinking, well, actually, it's about well-being. For me, I chose to focus on brain health.
Yeah.
So then we can change our eating patterns and our whole diet, which for me was about sleep, was about stress, a whole lot of pieces of the puzzle start coming together because we're looking more holistically. And then we can start choosing what we want to eat for different reasons.
Yeah.
And it's not about calories. It's not because we should weigh a certain amount. It's not because someone created something called a BMI measurement.
Exactly.
So the only, scales in and of themselves are triggers for people.
Let me just go back just before I forget. I just want to go back on what you said there, because that's so important in the stuff that I talk about all the time. As you said, as soon as we use those phrases, or I want to lose something, that's deprivation, that's sacrifice.
Absolutely.
And, one of the things I bang on about all the time, I won't let anyone say that they're giving up drinking. There's nothing to give up, No. And the same, we don't want to lose weight because the unconscious mind thinks, oh, I'm going to be losing out, or it thinks, well, if you've lost it, better find it for you again. Which of course is exactly what does happen. So you're absolutely right. It's language is so important, isn't it? It's
Yes.
so important. So yeah, you're absolutely right. We have to decide what is it we really want from this. What's the outcome we want?
Yeah.
You know, for most people, it's to feel better and to feel healthier. And as you say, is it good sleep? Is it more energy? What is it we want?
Yes.
So yeah, I love that. And also I wanted to pick up on what you were saying there about weighing scales. Oh my God, what a nightmare are scales.
Yes.
Just awful.
Yes.
And the associations, the triggering around, oh my God, I've, I
put
mean,
on 2 pounds.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I've had clients because obviously, in the work that I do, lots of people will decide they want to stop drinking.
Yes.
Because they want to lose weight.
Right.
So often it will be the thing that brings them, to the coaching or brings them to that point, or they'll decide, okay, I'm quitting booze, and my major hope is that I will, lose weight. And often lots of people are hugely unrealistic and assume that they will, drop 2 stone within the first few weeks. Utterly crazy, but
because we've been fed miracles, haven't we?
Exactly that, exactly. But the thing is, I've completely forgot what I was going to say. Sorry.
Sorry,
Yeah. No.
Weight.
It's not your fault at all. No. Where was I going with this? Yeah. So clients will often come to me and what's in their mind is, okay, I'm stopping drinking and I'm starting to see the benefits, or I'm starting to realize that that's, going to be a good thing for me. And one of the main benefits I'm hoping for is that I will lose weight. And yet sometimes these women that I speak to have been, that's what I was going to say, have been going to Weight Watchers or AN other for 20 years.
Yes.
Well, that's working well, ain't it? Like, what the hell? What is that about? I don't understand. I mean, I completely understand the connection is fantastic and that's great. Get some support, meet some friends, but being weighed, at something every week.
And then even worse for me was getting the star because I'd achieved my goal.
I'm sorry, that's just so, it's just weird. It's so utterly weird. I can't get my head around it. And then this idea of, I mean, it's unfair of me to quote because I haven't actually been anywhere. So it's not fair of me to say what they do. I can only speak from the experience of clients that have told me that they're sort of given schedules of treats they can have. They've been good, so they can use their treat allowance, or they can, have a glass of wine. I would say, why would you want to do that? Oh, great. So your whole focus is on looking and feeling better. So now you're going to go and self-harm with alcohol? I don't think so. So it's odd, isn't it? How have we come to this where it's often women, although I think guys are more and more getting caught up in it. But why have we come to this ridiculous idea that we should weigh ourselves all the time?
Yes, and it just doesn't acknowledge so much the fact that we won't weigh the same all the time, just for natural reasons as we go around, as women, as we go
time
around
of the month and everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you really want to weigh yourself, you do have to weigh yourself over an extended period of time to see what your pattern is, because you will have more water retention at some particular time. Your hormones will have that effect. So it's not an absolute thing. And then anyway, fat and muscle weigh differently. So if we start exercising,
you might weigh more.
Absolutely. So that would be an erroneous focus. Wouldn't it? And very misleading. So how would you measure that benefit for yourself? So it has to be about becoming more intuitive with your body.
Yeah, totally.
One, in terms of hunger and when we really are hunger. 2, what feels good on our body. Pay attention when we eat. How does that actually impact your body, so that you're making choices around that kind of feeling good, as opposed to feeding your brain where you've been taught, for example, oh, that glass of wine will make me feel better, or that piece of cake will make me feel better. Actually, no, it won't.
Yeah. And it's about so much more, isn't it, than just that phrase, calories in, calories out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so stupid. It's so
Yes.
stupid. You know,
Eat
if
less,
people are having,
exercise more.
yeah, what the hell? You know, if people are having, if people have got a very toxic kind of lifestyle,
Yeah.
what does the body do? It stores the toxins in fat.
Yes.
So
Yes.
however little you're eating, you know, if you've got a whole load of chemicals around you the whole time, the body's got to do something
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
So it stores it in fat. You know, what else can it do? It's trying to protect you. It's
Yeah.
trying to stop your brain from getting,
Absolutely.
you know. So
And you
yeah,
can actually be quite skinny but unhealthy because
absolutely. That's the other factor, isn't it?
you've got a different metabolism,
Yeah.
and you're maybe exercising a lot. But if you're eating foods that are essentially putting poisons into your body, or are converting to sugar is putting poisons into our body, isn't it? If we're not eating for our health, then internally we are not healthy still.
Yeah.
So
And you know, in addition to the as we were saying earlier, the whole the hormonal picture affects
yes,
everything. Stress affects
oh,
everything. The whole
absolutely,
cortisol picture.
yeah,
So you know, you can find people who really don't seem to eat very much,
yeah,
but they've got trauma going on. They've got stuff
yes.
going on. So their body, it's almost like their body is holding on to fat for protection.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And certainly the brain might be thinking about that. So, for example, there's some research around if you've suffered trauma as a slim person. Yes, when you had that body that you thought was the perfect body. So,
Yeah.
for example, sexual harassment or worse than that,
Yeah. Yeah.
then the gaining of the weight can protect you, can't it?
Yeah.
So you might be telling yourself, I need to lose weight, and then you can't lose weight. That's because there's a secondary gain going on in NLP terms of actually you're keeping it there for a reason. And until that reason is dealt with,
Yeah.
it's really going on for you. You're going to keep repeating that cycle and then start believing that you can't lose weight is the story that we would be telling ourselves. And it's
Yeah.
because we're not looking after our emotional well-being here.
Exactly. which is the key, isn't it? Because most of us are not
Yes.
very good at that because we haven't been
No,
doing it all our lives. We've just been numbing it out with alcohol or food or whatever.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, as you say in your book, you know, building self-awareness is the
Yes.
prerequisite, isn't it? It's
Yes.
difficult to change until we have that awareness of what's going on, until we're able to observe our thoughts, acknowledge our thoughts, know what our triggers are, all of that stuff. So where could one start then? You know, how would we begin to do this rewiring of the brain, which of course is what NLP is so wonderful at? You know, how
Yes.
can the average person just do a few things for themselves to just make a start?
Yes. So for me, I started with gratitude because by its very nature, it is focusing on the positive. So that's starting to rethink. In terms of food, I thought about what I can add to my diet rather than take
Yeah.
away.
What can you add in? Yeah, I love that.
Yep. I just came at it from a very different one. What do I want? What is going to make me feel well? In terms of, I'm a recovering perfectionist as well as a recovering yo-yo dieter. So as a perfectionist, when something doesn't quite go as you had planned, what I discovered about me was my critical inner voice, my judgmental inner voice, and how I would speak to myself. And I had no self-compassion. So starting to address that makes a huge difference. So an affirmation that I would say to myself when I catch myself. So again, that's the self-awareness of it. What do you say to yourself when you do something that you hadn't planned, wasn't on your intentions? So I call myself a silly cow all the time. That was the nicer one. So what are you going to say to yourself instead? I also believe in affirmations to start your day, about positivity for yourself, what you really want to focus in on. So it's linking in with what your goal would want to be there. And you can actually, in NLP, we teach you to turn down your inner voice. So turn the volume down so that it's not as loud. Maybe move it to the back of your head, change it to a more supportive voice.
Mm.
When you start cultivating all of that, then you can start becoming more successful with the changes that you want to make.
Yeah.
Because we have 6,200 thoughts a day, is what the research is
Oh, I
showing.
thought it was a lot more than that,
No,
interestingly.
that was the one
Is that
that
what it
came out
is?
of
Right.
Queen's University
Is that right?
in,
Interesting.
yeah.
But most of them are the same, is that right?
Well, they're all on an unconscious level, and they will often be repeat kind of
Very
thoughts,
similar.
isn't it?
Mm.
So if you've got them repetitive and unconscious, that's the ones that you want to get at changing, isn't it? So to be able to do that, the unconscious mind needs repetition to teach it something different. So we're wired to be negative thinkers. Most of us have way more negative thoughts in a day than we have positive thoughts. So it's about changing the number of those and changing how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
As a society, I think we're quite critical of people. The first thing we go to is a criticism of someone, isn't it? Rather than celebrating their success. So we focus on the progress, the small change that you made that day. One of the things I talk about is making small changes, because we're often tempted to do a complete 180, which many of us struggle to sustain, hence the new gym membership. We must go to the gym every day, and we're going to have a complete change in all our foods. And perhaps that's not the best way for us. Make small changes and add to it. So we're building that positive picture, and then we've got lots to celebrate each time. Again, that's focusing on the positive.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It really is about that kind of that mindset piece, because I remember in the days when I was trying to diet, I remember sort of thinking, oh well, I'll start Monday, so then the whole weekend I'd eat for England, and then I'd say, oh, I'll start Monday and I won't have any snacks or whatever. I'll just have a lettuce leaf for lunch or whatever. And I remember that I'd eat like a horse all weekend, and come Monday morning by about 9:30 I'd be absolutely ravenous, even though nothing had changed. It's purely in my head. It's purely that sense of I'm not going to be eating as much, or I'm going to be depriving myself. Therefore, I'm going to start feeling miserable really early on. So, really, you're absolutely right. It's exactly the same when people are quitting the booze. We have to focus only on what we're gaining, because actually there's nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose. Of course, we still need to eat proper food. I mean, that's the difference, of course, with the stuff you teach and the stuff I teach. Nobody actually needs alcohol at all ever, but with food we do need some.
Yes.
clearly. So it's about getting it right, isn't it? Yeah. It's about having the stuff that supports our health and well-being, really. Let's just talk for a moment about some of because people are going to go, yeah, all right, that's all great, but what do I eat? So let's just talk about the kind of a little bit about the way that food supports the brain chemistry, because one of the pieces of my work is that when people stop drinking, they often can be in this mindset of, oh, I think I'll lose a few pounds. Absolutely terrible idea, because when you first stop drinking, you need to be eating really well, like super nourishing, nurturing foods, really good fats, loads of protein. If you don't, your brain chemistry is going to be so far out of whack. You give it a week, a month at best. That's such an important part of it that I think a lot of people miss out. A lot of programs miss out that really important nutrient dense foods part.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about, from your experience, how that works, the whole brain chemistry piece, the foods that make us feel better.
Yeah. So again, focusing on brain health, but actually, when you look at a lot of the foods, it doesn't matter what you focus on, you're going to end up kind of eating a lot of the same things. So lots of green vegetables. There's so many micronutrients in those, and they're good for you and nourishing. And so therefore they're preferred over like winter vegetables, because they are sugar the root vegetables. Now, for me, I would still eat those because they're a natural cycle. They grow in the winter and the body needs a different kind of nutrient in the winter to in the summer. We always need protein. Those gives us a sense of satiety, feeling full and energy, and along with fats. For me, it's about getting away from good and bad foods so that you can focus on what it actually is. And that poor little avocado is full of whole good fats that the body needs. The brain needs fats to work. The brain needs water to work. So make sure we're drinking lots of water, because we do need that. We don't need the alcohol, but we do need liquid. And in its best form is water. Lots of berries, because some fruits are higher in sugars than others, whereas berries are full of antioxidants. So that helps on work with stress. Depending on whether you're following vegetarian, vegan, or flexitarian diet, which is what I like to follow. I like the Mediterranean lifestyle, so I will have quite a lot of fresh fish, which is your omegas, which your brain needs. So if you don't have those in your diet, you would need to get them in forms of supplements, probably. I would work alongside a nutritionist for someone for that, because I don't have the qualifications to indicate. But really, I focus on go buy it. For me, the biggest change was I had to learn to cook, or not learn to cook, but accept to cook. For me, I didn't cook because women always cook in the home. Men are chefs, women cook at home, and I spent most of my life fighting against things like that. But it worked against me because I was often tired and in a hurry, and I hadn't planned. And so I'd end up going and eating out. You can't control what's in the food when you're eating out, or grabbing a ready meal that's full of chemicals, and preservatives. And the latest research shows that anything that is processed is likely to make you put on weight. You can have the same numbers of calories, you can have the exact same nutrients in it, and if the only difference is the processing versus the cooking of the food, then they did it with twins. The twin that was eating the processed food started gaining weight, and all the other health measures that they were looking at started going out of whack for that person.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot lately, hasn't there, about the dangers of UPFs, ultra processed foods. We know they're bad. I mean, I suppose, we can tolerate a small amount, but it's the way it's seeped into absolutely everything that's the problem, isn't it? It is a concern that, you can go to a supermarket and, or certainly a small store, and literally there's no food in there. I mean, there's no actual food. Yeah. There's just packets, and there's just every single thing's in a load of goddamn plastic and's got a ton of ingredients. It's like there's no actual food. I've actually been places where I've been in a store or a restaurant or something, and I've just thought there's actually nothing here I can eat. There's not one single thing I can eat.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous, isn't it? What's happened? It's, the whole. It's become such big business. It's not about food or nourishment anymore.
No, it's a $4 trillion business.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge. And they've done lots of research. So what they know is the umami taste is what we crave and want to go and get more of. So they do research around food, but they've used it to get people to eat more of it.
Yeah.
And what is really dangerous is when there's both sugar and fats, apparently, in the same food. And that's where the cravings and the addiction can come into. So whereas naturally foods will have either more sugars or more fats, so that your body doesn't get that addiction happening. And then as we gain weight, apparently what they think is we don't get satisfied by as much dopamine. So you crave something, that's the dopamine you want, and then it doesn't give you the dopamine, so that you eat more trying to get the dopamine. So kind of on a lose-lose there once you start getting onto that diet, because you're not getting the nutrition your body actually needs.
Yeah.
It's all linked with inflammation, which is the chronic diseases, which is the other big market, which is pharma.
Yeah.
So actually, you can end up trapped in this triangle, can't you, of the three biggest businesses that it's in their interest to keep us eating the foods that are going to make us unhealthy and
Absolutely.
gain weight while we're being told that we shouldn't look like that.
Yeah.
So if we can just start to focus on how we feel,
Exactly.
then maybe we can
But
escape.
you're right. It is a thing, isn't it? This sort of craving dopamine.
Yes.
We're humans. We seek pleasure, don't we?
Yes.
And that's often through something we put in our mouth. So what's the easiest way for someone starting out? I mean, my take on it would be, I always say to people who are stopping drinking, look, have really good fats available and foods that are really satiating, because
Yes.
you're gonna crave the crap stuff far less when if you've just had a really nutritious good fat heavy meal. You don't crave the sweet crap the same way. If you have a fantastic freshly squeezed green juice, I mean, nobody craves crap after that. That's actually not possible to have it. If you have a freshly squeezed green juice, it's actually not possible to then go and eat donuts or Haribos or have a glass of wine after that. So that's what we have to focus on, isn't it? We have to focus on other ways of getting that dopamine hit, but it's training our thoughts to accept that we're gaining a different way.
Yeah. And it's about taking that step back and looking at yourself and saying, well, what do I actually want in life?
What is it I'm looking for? Yeah, that's a really good point, because again, one of the things I often talk about, because sugar, of course, is a big one for people who are stopping drinking. So often they go, I've been doing really well, but now I've completely gone over to sugar, a complete cross addiction within weeks. And you're right, that question really is what is it you're really looking for? Because it isn't really the bag of Haribos any more than it's the glass of wine. No. It's that lovely question, is it that you actually just want more sweetness in your life? It's not actually the sugar at all. It's that you want, what feeling is it you want?
Yeah. So for me, it's all holistic. So again, that would link in with what are your triggers to eating? So is it boredom? All right. So what actually would you enjoy doing? What don't you make time for in your life that you could make time for instead? So that you can feed that. If it's you're soothing some kind of emotion, how can you actually soothe that in a more helpful way? Is it you're tired? So work out your sleep patterns, because if you don't sleep, your leptin and your ghrelin ends up upside down. So you will be feeling like you're hungover the next day. Or
just remind us what those words mean. They're fabulous words. They sound like they sound like a couple of old plants.
So leptin and ghrelin. So ghrelin's your hunger hormone and leptin's your fullness hormone. And so if you don't get enough sleep, not only does that add to your cortisol, so stress will aggravate this pattern even more, but they end up upside down the next day. And you'll notice it, or I notice it, because I'm in the cupboards looking for something to eat, but I haven't even realized that's what I'm doing. I've just suddenly woken up from autopilot when I'm in the cupboard. And because my cupboard doesn't have sugars and fats in there, obviously my brain hasn't found whatever it was looking for on autopilot.
So what do you do then in that moment?
What do I do? Well, what I do have in our house is 85% chocolate. So is that what I want to eat, and have a cube of that? Because our hormones drive us. We can't out crave kind of hormones. So mostly it's important to keep our hormones in balance as we go. Water, and it just has to be conscious choices. But I know that I may be eating things that I wouldn't otherwise eat. So I would have an avocado I've got in the house. So healthy fats. It's not what my brain thinks I want, but I'm feeding that need for sugar and fats, but in a more healthy way.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your view on the whole idea of, keeping blood sugar levels stable? We hear a lot now, don't we, about, well, there's two schools of thought, isn't there? You hear people say, we need to keep our blood sugar level up. So we need to have 6 meals a day or 6 small meals a day, or we need to have 4 meals a day and lots of snacks. And then you hear other people who say there's absolutely no need to do that whatsoever. You can have 3 meals a day. You shouldn't need to snack. In fact, you should give your body a rest. What's your view on that?
Well, I actually don't know what the answer is. I can only, if the experts don't know, I don't know. My approach to it is we're all different.
Yeah, exactly.
And so for me, it's about what makes you feel good.
Yeah.
In terms of, I try and keep my eating window smaller in a day. So listening to my body, I'm someone, I don't like eating first thing in the morning. So I'm not following the you must have breakfast rule. I do have breakfast, but it would be about 10:30 is probably when my body starts thinking, I'd like some food, please, now.
Mm,
I'm not
mm,
skipping it because I'm not having it, even despite being hungry. If I felt hungry, I would eat.
yeah.
Do I have foods that if you're on a diabetes regime, they would tell you not to have, like a banana? I would have that. Am I, would it cause a spike in sugars? Probably. Is it a healthy fruit other than that? Yes, but would it be my only source of food? I just try and keep some balance. And then I also talk about the kitchen being closed. I close the kitchen in the evening so I don't snack, so that my body is then, like in Chinese medicine, they say what the body's doing at particular times of the
Mm,
day, don't they?
mm,
And the
yeah.
body likes to start digesting about 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock, you should be in bed according to that, so that your body can go through its necessary processes. So I try to do that. If I were hungry, I would go and eat something. I would eat something like a handful of almonds, which are supposed to help with melatonin release to help you sleep. Um, yeah, just try and make helpful choices for myself. What would be the best decision for me in this moment right now? Not what should I do, what must I do, but listen to my body, and we can only do what we feel is right for us in that moment, and
Mm.
focusing on what would be a nourishing thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it does all come back to that sense of kind of self-esteem and self-awareness and self-love, doesn't it? You know, when you actually do start to like yourself, you don't want to eat as much crap.
No,
is the bottom line. You know,
yeah,
it doesn't mean you don't occasionally crave something that's not particularly good for you. You know, we're all human, um, but there's less of it. There's
yes,
less sort of overeating with absolute rubbish. I think that is what tends to happen.
yeah,
It
it
is
doesn't,
true.
I don't find it even enters my mind to eat those foods.
Mm,
And if I went to a supermarket, I would only be attracted to it if I were hungry.
mm, mm.
And
Yeah.
if I've done my shopping at a planned time, then with my list, then I wouldn't even end up in that part of the supermarket, and therefore wouldn't feel attracted to it because they do it all in bright red and yellow.
Well, of course, it's about marketing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what does the book give us? Tell us a bit about the mindset diet. What's in the book?
Right. So what I put it in the book is it's based on coaching activities, the sorts of things that I would do with my clients one to one, but allows you to go through. I would suggest using a journal and work it through so that you can work through what is it that's got you to where you are now, and what are your barriers to where you would like to be, so that you can actually think about what is your food story and what beliefs have you got that are holding you back. What would be a more empowering belief to have, looking at your thought habits. So what does a desperate dieter think like, and what does an empowered eater think like, so that you
Mm,
can actually look at those patterns and think about where are you, so that you can start making gradual changes to your thinking
yeah.
and make more empowered choices. And again, we have choice. It's up to us, isn't it? And
Yeah, it really is, and it really is about so much more, isn't it, than what we weigh and what we eat.
yes,
It really is. I've shared this story a couple of times on the podcast, but you might find it interesting. A woman that I worked with some time ago, who also used NLP, interestingly, was before she started working with NLP, she was working with one of the big slimmers groups, organizations,
Right.
whatever. And she was part of something where they had like a Slimmer of the Year or one of those kind of awards.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got this woman who dropped God knows how many stone, and they offered her the opportunity to go and have a all expenses paid photo shoot. She could buy a whole new wardrobe, have these pictures taken, featured in a magazine. And this colleague of mine, she said that she rocked up to this, event. She was working with this organization. It was her job to meet the woman and take her shopping. And she met this woman who was, very, very slim. She'd lost a huge amount of weight. She was dressed in a really, sort of dowdy, completely shapeless, outfit, no color, really, really dowdy. So my friend's thinking, oh, fantastic. She's going to have such a wonderful time choosing a new wardrobe at the expense of the magazine, but they then go into various stores and one by one, she picks out exactly the same clothes, ill fitting, not in any way attractive by anyone's standards, not just a case of, literally, it was so clear to see that her view of herself, yes, the way she saw herself was, shapeless, lacking color. It was so powerful. Seeing that made her stop doing that work altogether, because she realized, okay, so the weight's gone. But it was never anything to do with the weight. It was only ever about how she felt about herself.
Absolutely. And it's likely to come back.
Absolutely it will. Absolutely it will.
Like her old self.
Exactly.
Her thinking and her beliefs.
Exactly.
All of that stuff hasn't changed. So
exactly
she will revert back to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's powerful, isn't it? So I love the work you're doing. Well done, you. It's great. And
you.
It's just really good just to kind of hammer this home, isn't it? The whole time that it really is about the mindset. So yeah, fantastic title for your book. I love it. And remind us of your website, Caroline.
My website is freetobnlp.co.uk.
Great. I'll put that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for being my guest. I really appreciate it, and I wish you lots of success with the book.
Thank you very much, Janie.
Thank you. We'll put those links in the show notes. A reminder for anyone who is interested in nutrition, holistic living. I mean, why would you not be? Do check out my other site, imperfectlynatural.com, because I have loads and loads of great recommendations there for natural and organic products and skincare. There's some great competitions, including competition to win some Naughty alcohol-free, because Naughty are part of our Platinum Awards. There's going to be a pop-up shop in September as well, in Bloomsbury. So if you're really interested in holistic stuff, I mean, why would you not be? Then you might want to come and visit that little pop-up shop. But I've given you a ton of dates to think about. I am aware of that. Most important one is next Thursday, Explore a Career as a Sober Coach. It's a webinar. It's 7:30. Join us if you can. You need to go to thesoberclub.com/events. And while you're there, please get your ticket for the Monday, the 8th of September. I know I say this every week, but I'll say it again. If you are doing this, don't do it alone. I know you might not want to join the Sober Club. Of course, I hope you do. But whether you do or not, tell someone you're doing this thing. Tell someone. When I look back, I've been re-editing my book, my Happy, Healthy, Sober book, for a new edition. And it's really interesting, actually, rereading my own story in there, because, I'm a lot further on. And one of the things that kind of really comes home to me, just rereading my own story, is the fact that I went round the block so many times. I literally tried to quit alcohol so many times over the years. I mean, over a period of probably 10 years, I knew I was drinking too much. So, periodically I would quit for a while. Some of those occasions were more successful in inverted commas than others, including one period where I quit for, I forget exactly how long, 6-7 months, something like that. Why did I go back? Because I wasn't focused during that period on the benefits of living an alcohol-free life. What was still at the back of my mind was that alcohol is good, but the fact that I can't drink is bad. And so once I'd, gone through my period of, I don't know, however long, of course I was no longer in danger and I could then have one. And of course I had one and that turned to two and then three, and then I was back down the booze elevator. What I now realize looking back so clearly is that I was focusing on the wrong thing. I was focusing on the logic around alcohol, or so I thought, and I knew that drinking too much was bad for me, but I hadn't properly focused on the joy of a life without any. I just hadn't grasped that. I hadn't got that light at the end of the tunnel, and that's what makes the difference. Actually committing, setting your intention to focus only on what you'll be gaining. So I know you've heard me nag you before. Don't use the phrase give up. When you decide to do this, catch yourself every time you say this and change it to, I'm quitting alcohol. I'm stopping drinking. I'm ditching the booze. Don't use the phrase give up, because there is nothing to give up, nothing at all, and everything to gain. So do tell someone, do reach out. You can message me. I'm very good at answering messages if I actually get them, at Janie Lee Grace on social media, or you know where to find me via the Sober Club. You know that I offer one-to-one coaching as well. I have a whole directory of coaches who are there for you if you want more support. And of course, if you've already ditched the booze and you're a bit further along and you want to join that wonderful family of coaches, then I'll see you on the webinar next Thursday night. Have yourself a fantastic week. If you're doing this, give yourself a really big hug. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club. Please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.